So, welcome all to this Espoo Day event. Tervetuloa kaikki tähän Espoo-päivän tapahtumaan. Me normaalisti ollaan täällä Urban Millillä järjestetty fyysisiä tapahtumia perjantaina ja lauantaina, mutta nyt tämän COVID-tilanteen takia tehdään tämä etänä. Tämä on pieni kokeilu, emme tiedä ollenkaan kuinka paljon tänne on ihmisiä tulossa ja mutta me nauhoitetaan tämä kuitenkin. Tämä on englanninkielinen tapahtuma, eli mä siirryn tässä puhumaan englantia. So, welcome to you all to this Espoo Day event from Urban Mill. Normally we have these events physically here on Friday and Saturday, but because of the COVID situation we do and test it this way. We don't know anything how many people there are. Now we are only 9 here. Lars will bring new people on when they come and we go on. So the program today is so that we have first 1 hour here at Urban Mill. This is more local things about what is happening in Espoo and in Otaniemi. So we have Aapo Pihkala from Aalto University telling about the campus issues, and then former Aalto alumni and professional from Design Factory, Matti Hämäläinen, telling about co-creation. And then we end that and then it started also by a video by Markkula, who couldn't be here because he is with the commissioner now, EU commissioner there in Turku, where they develop new things. And after this 1 hour, then we change to another Zoom, and that's European Design Upgrade Hackathon Zoom. The link will be in the chat. Lasse shares it there, so you can change to that at 2 o'clock. And then that's a opening of that hackathon. And why we do that is that we just want to show you what is happening here during this corona crisis, how we work. So there is a little bit less than 1 hour, and that's thing. But then tomorrow, if people want to see us in physical, their afternoon, our doors are open. You see what is happening here with the teams in the hackathon. So that's basically what we are doing. But let's do so that I give this to Lars Mikki, who is together with me here, so that he will run the video which Markkula did 2 days ago here in the same place where we are now. And he tells a little bit about the background. So please, Lars.
Thanks, Kari. I will now put the share screen functionality on. The video picture might be a little bit slow, but the voice is very clear.
Hi there. I'm Markkula. I'm the chair of the board in the city of Espoo. And in addition, I'm the president of the Helsinki-Uusimaa Regional Council. We are here in the Urban Mill, and we are opening this special event which has 2 purposes. On one hand, it is one of those 100 or so events organized throughout Espoo, our city, for the citizens and with the citizens. And in addition, this is as well the opening session for a special hackathon for creativeness, for startups, innovations. Let me highlight a few of the key things that I have found during the recent months very essential. First is clearly that we need a transformation, a clear and strong transformation on the policy making, on economics, businesses, but as well how we use new knowledge, how we create new knowledge. So it means what is the crucial role of people all around, and commitment, awareness. And I even made a few of the key messages that I want to have on this short introduction to the event. First, let me refer to what has happened during the COVID-19 pandemic, the crisis. How people around the world have created some new solutions, how they have reacted when this pandemic hit people all over the world. During this tragedy, we really can say it's a tragedy, many stepped up and acted for a greater good of society, of their own society and globally as well. The hope now is that we should treat definitely climate and ecological emergency the same way as the COVID-19 emergency. When launching the Green Deal, the EU Green Deal last December, the Commission announced that, let me quote, the Commission will adopt a new, more ambitious EU strategy on adaptation to climate change by strengthening the efforts of climate proofing, resilience building, prevention and preparedness. This means in reality that the role of cities and regions, that's the crucial. And when I talk about city, I mean all the citizens, businesses, companies large and small, universities, schools, everyone. Cities need to take their own ambition level higher to act, to create good practices, disseminate those, and create new societal innovations. Innovations that can be implemented everywhere in other countries, other cities globally. Nevertheless, the stronger action needs to be taken at the EU and national levels as well to empower citizens, to empower cities and regions in their efforts to adapt to climate change. Special attention will and needs to be devoted in the activities in encouraging different forms of innovation on sustainable development. Let me link this to something what we have experienced here in Espoo and in the Helsinki region as well within the EU policy. First, societal innovations, not just technological innovations, not just social innovations, but innovations that have an impact, influence throughout our societies. And secondly, we need at the local level, especially local and regional level, we need to create the policy towards innovation ecosystems. And let me here refer to the report that you can find inside the Urban Mill webpage. A link to this report. It is a report already written a couple of years ago, how we here locally in this Otaniemi University campus, where we have close by businesses as well as residence areas, Otaniemi, Mikkelä, Tapiola, how we here kind of orchestrated different activities to what we call how to create the regional innovation ecosystem, how to empower the region to act. And here we had some in written articles as well, close to 30 different articles written by both researchers but as well business people, political decision makers on how we did that. So how is the key question, not anymore what is needed, but how to make that to happen. So it's the innovation ecosystem, and on that, so we need forerunner cities, forerunner regions, and for that as well, your hackathon on creativity and startups, that plays an essential role. So you can create, brainstorm and create something, wake up calls for our societies. But let me go link that back to the what we have learned during the COVID-19. I made a list of 6 key lessons learned. First, we should have sustainability as a new normal for all communities, all businesses and individuals as well. Second is that sustainable development should be a guiding principle in all decision making, both public and private, including budgeting processes. Third key point is that planning and action increasingly needs to be based on knowledge, collaboration and good practices. The fourth key lesson learned is that we need to have circular economy as a guiding principle, and we need to implement that throughout Europe and globally. The fifth is that multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary research needs to be an increasing source of knowledge and know-how. So the role of universities, research centers, other educational establishments throughout the world, that is essential. And the fifth and the final word, this is all about learning. So I wrote that the different forms of lifelong learning needs to be the effective ways to embed sustainability in societies. So these are something that we need to move forward, and this is how we clearly can analyze what we have done here in our Espoo Innovation Garden. What does that mean for the whole Helsinki region? How we have collaborated with other existing ecosystems here on our region, but what does it mean for globally, in a global collaboration as well?
So thank you, Markku. I have still one question for you. That we are now here at Otaniemi, Espoo Innovation Garden. This is the home of Aalto University State Research Center, about 2,000 companies and a lot of active citizens. What do you see is this area's innovation nodes role in this sustainability work, and how creativity is part of it?
I could give a 2-hour lecture or 2-week lecturing, but lecturing is not the key point. The key point is action. And on that, so let me highlight that with another example, another report. So this is the City of Espoo voluntary local review that the city we presented this last July as part of the Finland's Prime Minister presentation to the United Nations special now virtual meeting in New York. So what we see and what we have done, what's going on, and that is very much based on what we kind of learned here creating this university campus ecosystem. Not 10 years ago, but more recently, how the strong commitment based on the, let's say, the shared vision, what Otaniemi, what the university campus should be, not a separate, isolated campus, but something that connects people globally as well, invites people, not just talents, but a lot of people who want to visit here, learn here, and collaborate here. And part of that goes on nowadays virtually. But it all is based on the, let's say, the local facilities as well. Face-to-face is needed, local kind of creative mindset is needed. And that is what you can concretely see here in Otaniemi within the campus and in the nearby business area in the whole Espoo Innovation Garden.
Thank you. So it's participation and bottom-up activities. And
awareness and commitment, so participation, co-creating something.
Yeah.
It's really public, private, people and partnerships.
That's wonderful, and now we will continue this Espoo Day thing. Thanks, Markku, a lot of this. I know that you are by distance on Friday, but we continue in the next phase then and hear a little bit what is happening in Aalto University. So thanks for this.
Thank you.
And see you.
There, so we go more on the campus issues and how this campus allows us to do good things. So Aapo, if you take the floor.
So hello everybody, my name is Aapo Pihkala. I'm a project manager in campus development in Aalto University. I am a landscape architect and I have graduated from Aalto campus. And I have followed the development of this campus area since the founding of Aalto University as a student. And I feel very privileged to be part of the campus development now as a professional. The title of my presentation is Creative and Sustainable Landscape. And most of what I do in my work is somehow related to campus landscape and outdoor areas. And as we know, the corona situation affects everything and the campus is still partly closed. But on the positive side, we can freely use all the campus outdoor areas and enjoy the amazing nature. And I hope that after this presentation, you have a good understanding of what is the future of our campus and how we developed it in a sustainable way. And I also hope that my perspective gives you ideas how the campus landscape can benefit your creativity. Aalto University was founded 10 years ago when 3 universities combined. Aalto University was given a national mission to strengthen the innovation capacity of Finland. And in campus development, we aim that people and ideas meet. And in this slide, you can see some innovations that have an origin in Aalto community. And in the end, the goal is to improve the well-being of the entire globe and humankind. Okay, let's look at our campus a little bit closer. As you can see, Otaniemi is a large area. And if the size is compared to Helsinki, that is on the right in this picture, you could have 6 unique districts inside of Otaniemi. And in the future, we may actually have a clear regional identities within the campus, especially now when people from many different backgrounds study and work here. And what is important in the history of campus development, that all the academic activities are now in Otaniemi, and also that campus is now open for a larger community. Our goal is to transform our campus into a unique collaboration hub. Otaniemi has a very special place in the city fabric of Helsinki and Espoo. And we are part of a bigger innovation ecosystem around Laajalahti Bay that you can see in this picture. Okay, this is more or less how our campus looks now in 2020. And in this next slide, you can see an illustration of how Otaniemi might look in 15 years in 2035. At the moment, around 4,000 people live in Otaniemi. But in the future, there are plans to build apartments more than 7,000 people. So the population will almost triple from what is now. And besides apartments, student housing, there will also be buildings for the university and its partners. So in conclusion, Otaniemi will grow a lot and it will become a lively district. Aalto University has recently published a new strategy, and the top level theme is sustainability. And the aim is to create sustainable innovations that will affect the whole globe. And to reach this, we also need a sustainable campus. So campus development and our landscape outdoor areas play an important role in order to reach the sustainable goals. And as I mentioned before, the campus will grow a lot in the future. So we need to have a good understanding how to do this in a sustainable way. And in addition to strategy and common goals, we also need concrete plans and roadmaps. Our campus is developing and growing very fast,
and we need a holistic understanding of the landscape in the background. So Aalto ordered a comprehensive landscape report from a Danish landscape architecture company called SLA. And SLA specializes in sustainable environmental design. And they created this conceptual landscape plan for the Aalto campus. And as the campus is growing, they created sustainable principles for densification. And this conceptual plan guides the development of the campus in the future. And the three important elements of this conceptual plan are an urban city center around the metro station, green forest belt through and around the campus, and a green loop that is connecting the different areas in Otaniemi. You may see the green loop meandering around the center of Otaniemi in this picture. The landscape vision is based on growth, growth in all its meanings: natural, environmental, social, economic, and scientific growth. Okay, let's take a closer look at the rationale behind this plan. I guess we can all agree that Otaniemi campus is very unique in many ways, but these two elements separate our campus from most campuses. The campus has a very unique modernistic architectural heritage, and the campus is also very green. And when I have international guests visiting our campus, they always pay attention to our amazing nature. The campus is also called the campus of the forest, and the architect Aalto fitted the buildings into natural environment and existing topography. The campus area is constantly changing and growing, and when the area changes so much, it is important to consider how to maintain the values of the area and what is going to be the new identity of the area. The plan proposes that the campus landscape acts as a bridge between the old and the new, and as the population increases, the nature should also increase. For example, for every new resident, 1 tree should be planted. Then why is campus nature important for the campus users? And why is it important for your creativity? According to several studies, nature in your environment increases the quality of life, creativity, and productivity. And even a small walk in the nearby forest lowers your stress levels. And now we actually have a concept of ecosystem service, meaning all the services that the nature provides for us. And of course, it's important to remember that nature also has an absolute value. And some of the services it provides are fundamental. And in this slide, you can see some design principles that provide us a sustainable campus. Trees, for example, protect us from the winds, create nice microclimates, and help fight climate change. But they very often also create economical value for buildings. And now we also have the concept of natural capital, and we actually mapped our natural capital on our campus last year. As we know, Aalto is full of creative communities. And now that we know that nature is important for our creativity, my conclusion is that sustainable campus nature can spark innovation. And in the next slides, I have collected some ideas how the different creative communities can benefit from the campus nature. Our campus parks are like common living rooms, and they provide places for meetings, ideas, and recreation. And in the future, in the campus development, our goal is to increase places for experimental student activities and outdoor areas. And outdoor areas also create a place to share information about different projects that take place all around campus, since people move a lot from place to another. Our campus is a place to shape a sustainable future, and at the same time it tells a story of our past. These beautiful linden tree alleys used to lead to a mansion, and their architect Aalto wanted to save these trees as a reminder when he was designing the undergraduate center. I think it's amazing that our campus has a very urban center, but in 10 minutes you can reach almost untouched nature. Laajalahti Nature Reservoir is famous for its birds, and in this photo you can see the Otaniemi bird tower. I highly recommend you visit there after you leave your lecture or office or your house. Otaniemi also has a very long and very beautiful coastline, and I think this is something we don't do too often. We could actually have business meetings in the wild nature instead of office rooms. I really want to promote this idea for the Aalto community, since we want to support well-being and creativity. Our goal is that the outdoor areas can support the university teaching and experimental student activities. This photo is an example from test site in Ossilampi. The project is part of Creative Sustainability Master's Program, and it supports projects in practical sustainability. And I hope that in the future, every student can use the campus landscape as part of their studies. Next to Ossilampi, there's also a possibility for urban gardening. And I think it's great that we can have this kind of local food production and experimental gardening in the very heart of the campus. And members of the Aalto community can apply for these lots. Art in landscape, environmental art, and outdoor galleries are something that we also want to push forward. And there is actually an ongoing competition that seeks brave ideas for the outdoor areas. And I really want to promote this competition, and you to form a creative team and participate in this competition. The main prize is 7,000 euros, and the competition is valid until the end of next month. And I think this is a great opportunity to combine radical creativity and sustainable solutions. The outdoor areas are one of the most important focus areas in the near future in the campus development. And here are some examples of landscape-related projects that will happen in the following years. Right now, we are closely working with the Metro Dipoli connection, since Dipoli now serves as the main building of Aalto University. And one of our goals is to create creative spaces for student communities and future innovations. And of course, the design will follow sustainable principles. And in the big picture, the goal is to create appealing green spaces that attract people from inside to outdoors. And in the best possible scenario, people and ideas will meet spontaneously in the outdoor space. I would like to thank you for your attention, and I'm very glad to hear ideas how we can support your creativity in the campus landscape. So feel free to contact me. Thank you.
Thank you, Aapo, for an excellent overview what is happening here at Otaniemi. It's so that every time, even we work here and we see often each other, there are new things which are happening. But I have one question for you. If you think now creativity, and then the people who are here working or studying, what's the main challenge where students, researchers, business people could help you in achieving that vision what you just showed us?
I think it's very important that we constantly receive feedback of what they feel that is working and what is not working in the campus. And that's also our goal, to listen to the community. And in the new campus strategy, we try to have this approach that the grassroots project and the approaches from the grassroots level can be utilized in the campus development. So it's more like, it's not like top down, is more like bottom-up strategy. So I really hope that people start to look in the environment and think how they could benefit their studies or research in the campus landscape. And since we now have the new strategy of the sustainable future, so I think these are kind of like goals that go very well together. So I just hope that the whole other community and also people all around the Greater Helsinki area will give us feedback, and we can come to a conclusion together how we can use the landscape and the outdoor areas in the best possible way.
Thanks. That's a good challenge, and we promise to deliver further that during the autumn, when people are now coming back to the campus, and we see also more people in the face-to-face. So thanks, Aapo. And then we could go to Matti. If Matti Hämäläinen, you share your screen, put your microphone on, yeah, and I will be still.
So hello everyone, thank you for joining on my behalf, and thank you Aapo for your presentation of all the campuses. It's always a pleasure to see a different perspective into the campus and hearing also more stories related to the environment and the history. So as Aapo was talking about the environment that nurtures creativity, nurtures learning, and the interaction between different individuals. What I will be sharing with you next is something related to how creativity can be done, especially in this type of environment. So let's check first. Everyone can see my full screen now, right?
Yes.
Hopefully. Okay. So I'll briefly introduce my perspective into what we call the art of co-creation, an approach to creativity that is being very popular today, based on diversity and collaboration, and it's trying to break conventional ways of controlling work. I come from city of Helsinki, so Helsinki Innovation Company, where we have pleasure of doing similar work that our neighbor's sister city Espoo is doing, and I would also like to congratulate the city of Espoo on the verge of this Espoo Day. My brief agenda for today is that I'll go through 3 different topics related to this co-creation, starting with definition and description of diversity and what diversity means in this context, followed up by a brief intro to leadership in diverse teams, how it should be perhaps different from, again, conventional leadership styles, and finally concluding by a description of this kind of general or ideal co-creation journey, what it means, how people can start working together, and what they should expect when they start a project that is utilizing co-creation tools. And since this is such a small group, please do not hesitate to interrupt me if you have any comments or questions during this presentation as well. I do like being challenged, so please. So starting with diversity, particularly diversity in a team. So traditionally, if you look at most boards of major corporations, this is how they look like. They are very harmonious. They are very homogeneous in profile. So it's been an ongoing joke about the white old men who control these boards. And these type of boards, these types of teams where people are very similar to each other are very easy to lead. And for example, in a board meeting, that takes place between individuals who are very similar in their ethnical background, in their way of thinking, the decisions will be very easy to make. There will be very little discussion, so there is really strong and vast progress. And the challenge, again, with this type of conventional boards and conventional teams is that they often have a so-called tunnel vision. So they narrow down, they only see one very small aspect of the issue that they're supposed to be discussing on or solving, because they don't have enough different perspectives. Whereas what particularly in the past were considered to be difficult teams or difficult groups are much more diverse. And again, this is what should be encouraged today, is intentionally building diversity within your team. Inviting people who think in a different way and who dare to disagree with you. Because by doing that, they expand your perspective on the topic, and they might bring in something that would not have been brought up if only, let's say, 5 engineers were trying to solve a problem. So if you bring in new perspectives intentionally and at the same time encourage dialogue, do not suppress voices that are different from a majority, but encourage people to speak up. By doing that, you broaden the view, and by broadening the view, you increase the quality of decisions, increase the quality of all the teamwork that's taking place. And again, the transition from the left side world to the right side world is ongoing today. It's still surprising to see how many organizations still operate by the rules of the left side world, and even the ones that are shifting towards an organization structure that's closer to the right side, so there is diversity. Even those organizations are still operated by many of the ways of working and leadership manners developed for the left side world. If I put this in a little bit different way, if we look at what diversity in a team means, this is kind of very basic natural human behavior. So if you are this individual in the brown dot, and you are working on a school assignment or an assignment at your work, and you are requested to form a team. Most likely what you intuitively do is that you invite your closest colleague, the one you share ideas and agree with most of the time, to join your team. If you need a third partner, then you take the next closest colleague, and so on. So you want to work with the people who think alike, who are alike you, which means that you are intuitively building a very homogeneous team. So you're building the team on the left side, where people that you gather around you most likely will be similar to you in one way or another. Whereas what is intended, if you want to, again, expand the vision, is intentionally inviting people to the team who do not share that much of the same perspective. There should be some kind of overlapping in the views so that there is common ground for discussion, dialogue, and there's mutual understanding. But at the same time, you should think about what the next person adds to the existing team. So if you have only 3 or 4 brown dots, the 6th or 7th one does not add much new perspective or new knowledge to the team. Whereas if you intentionally expand diversity, you will reach something much more, a diverse team, which again will bring problems of its own. So the objective of this first stage team building or team selection is, in a way, generating a palette that you can use. If you only have 1 or 2 colors in your palette, it's very limited what you can do with it. But if you intentionally have much more diversity, if you have much more colors on your palette, that means that you will be able to expand and do much more than with more limited resources. And again, this doesn't mean that you have to use all the colors or all the skills, but you have the possibility. Moving on to topic number 2, so leadership. In this case, leadership in many ways is about dealing with diversity. So conventional, traditional way of controlling teams is based on exactly that. The leader was, and to quite an extent still today, is expected to be the controller, and everything is put on the shoulders of the leader. So if you succeed, it's because of the leader. If you fail, it's because of the leader. And this type of approach is built on very strong control. So the leader has to be in complete charge of what every single group of team member is doing. And all of the structures, all of the mechanisms that relate to interaction derive from this type of approach. Whereas the approach more suitable for then diverse teams would be more like coaching, where instead of trying to control what people are doing and trying to know exactly what they are doing, you will be encouraging them to do more than you would be capable of doing. You will be encouraging and enabling them to leash out their potential, whatever it is. Not all of the individuals that you will be encouraging will be able to do the things that you do. Then again, they will be able to do things that you would not be able to do because of lack of knowledge or lack of other skills. And again, collectively, even a narrow team will be able to perform much better than individuals. So again, encouraging diversity, encouraging different kind of discussions and disagreements would be the foundation for this type of new generation of leadership. And if you have diversity, if you have disagreement, what it automatically leads to is some kind of tension. In creativity, there's a term called creative tension, which is something that design team leaders often look for. So they want intentionally to build some kind of tension between the individuals in the team. And there's a big contradiction to what a lot of, especially conventional organizational consultants, how they react to this type of situation. So the traditional way of reacting to tension within a team or within a group, if there are disagreements, consultants would like to reduce this tension by any means, so that people would be happy, would be harmonious with each other. And the assumption is that if people agree with each other, then they work really well. And the assumption is that a high-performing team needs to be harmonious. Whereas, in a way, counterintuitively, what our experience suggests that instead of trying to release or reduce this type of tension, what the team leader should intentionally be aiming at is increasing and controlling this tension. So making sure that the people trust each other enough that they can speak out their disagreements, because that's the only way that they can contribute and add on to what the others know. So they can point out things that their team members would not have discovered on their own. And this is something that scares many leaders, because again, it might look out to the outside like there is constant fighting, which traditionally did not look like a high-performing team. But like Professor Kathleen Eisenhardt from Stanford University Technology Ventures program over there often says that in reality, the absence of conflict is not harmony. What you achieve by getting rid of the conflict is not harmonious or effective. It's apathy, and that should not be the objective of an organization. And if you want to use the right side methodology here again, so taking tension as something that is a good thing within the team, that also means that all the team members should be comfortable in that atmosphere where there might be constant tension. And again, you need to really focus on creating trust between the individuals so that they don't feel offended and take it personally when somebody disagrees with them. Especially with a new team where all the different team members do not know each other, and they look at the problems from different perspectives. Often the communication is directed at persons and their perspectives and their opinions. And in the beginning, when these new teams are forming, a lot of energy is wasted on one-on-one disagreements. So there might be continuous fights, and the fights on their own are not effective. They are taking away energy, even though at the same time that team members are getting to know each other better and better. But in order to, again, start controlling this tension, the team leaders need to be able to align the efforts. So align the energy that is being used in the disagreements and that are creating conflicts, align them towards a common goal. And once these common goals are found, then again, the different disagreeing team members can add something to the common objectives. And that will be a very powerful way of working as a diverse team. Finally, the third point today will be describing briefly what a co-creation journey looks like. A co-creation journey is something that you start with a diverse team. So again, we would like to describe this as a journey, and the analogy is quite good if you think about something that you go into a journey to an undiscovered country or unknown territory, and when you prepare for that journey, you don't exactly know what is going to be waiting for you, which means that whatever you are packing inside your backpack has to be wide enough to be able to deal with different kind of situations that you might counter during your journey. We have divided this general journey, co-creation journey, into three segments or three acts, where the first part is the known, where you are still in your familiar territory. The second part is the unknown, where you dive into exploring into the world of unknown, where you are producing some kind of new knowledge, new understanding within your team. And then act 3 is the new, where you are utilizing this exploration, the things that you have discovered in the unknown territories, in order to create something new, something that hasn't existed before. And what is really important to understand about this co-creation journey is that you cannot skip directly to part 3. When you are willing to start a journey like this, you need to go through phases 1 and 2 first. And your entire team has to be there. And you need to understand the team dynamics that relate to the outcome. So unless you go through hardships and difficulties related to the exploration, you will not be able to create something that would would be novel, because you have not discovered the necessary elements, the new things, discoveries that you would be utilizing for then the innovation or for the novel thing creation. And before you can get to the exploration, you probably will have to build trust within the team to know each other well enough that you can go through that exploration process. So again, in brief, this is the co-creation journey that a team has to go through. I will just quickly slide through the steps that I've often described that need to take place for this co-creation journey, in case somebody wants to make notes of this. But it all starts with understanding what type of capabilities, what type of skills you have, or what you need within your teams, and assembling a team based on that. So again, intentionally building the diversity, looking for possible gaps in skills or in knowledge within your team. So if you notice that there's a person who's an outsider, who doesn't have a connection to the rest of the team for some reason or another, then you might need to have somebody added to the team so that they can bridge this gap, so that there can be a strong, close connection between all of the individuals, so that nobody is feeling an outsider. Then you start rehearsing and training and teaching those skills, which is part of the leadership process, making sure that the team is ready for then the challenge, which is actual co-creation waiting at the end. And once you have reached good enough team working skills, you start exploring for new knowledge. And finally, at point 7, you use this knowledge with your high-performing team to co-create, create something. To put it into a diagram, in order to build a high-performing, diverse team, you need to reach a higher level of new knowledge. So you need to do this exploration. And at the same time, you need to develop your team performance, how they work together. And if you're able to do both of these, so dig up, produce new knowledge, and create really high-performing team, then you will be eventually able to reach the point we refer to as collective intelligence, where all of the team members will be working as one, so really as a team, and it will be very difficult to, for example, identify who came up with the specific idea, because the team performs so well together. This was my short presentation about the art of co-creation. I thank you for your attention, for your time, and I thank Kari and Lasse for this opportunity to speak to you guys.
Thank you, Matti. I ask you still one question. You have been working here at Design Factory in China and now in Helsinki. And Markku talked about the Greater Helsinki. How could we deploy better the diversity on the Greater Helsinki area? Within one sentence, what we should do so that we use all the power what we have here?
Well, related to Greater Helsinki, I would say the one thing in a regional level is that hold on to 3 different cities: Espoo, Vantaa, Helsinki, and additional cities. Because if there are cities that are governed in a different way, they can look at each other for examples, and they can choose different ways and learn from each other. Like 3 sisters can be sparring each other to perform better, rather than putting all of the cities into different forms. This is what I love about our
and that's great. And perhaps inside the city there are also sub-cities and sub-areas which should be profiled. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Now we have to end, so that thanks for that. And we go so that there is a link in the chat room. We change to the different Zoom session. So we have this diversity now. Ukraine, Belgium, and Finland, we have been doing a project. Now we start hackathon. We have there both creatives, we have their startups, but then we have some experts in different fields, and all should be some way around the sustainable development goals what we have done. So I thank you now from this session, and please take the link from the chat and change to the other sessions. That will be 1 hour around, and that will be hosted by the Ultra Hack, which is from Otaniemi, from different place doing this thing. So thank you for all. If you put the video on, we can wave our out, and let's see in the new room. Then we have more people there. Yeah, nice to see you all. So we end this and have 2 minutes time to be in the next room. So thank you. And thank you, Matti. Thank you, Aapo. And thank you, Markku. Bye.
So really quick coffee in 2 minutes.
Yeah. So we leave now.